propaganda. Tucker Carlson tonight. I'm Ed Henry in for Tucker. You're looking at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, because we're waiting a possible appearance from President-elect Donald Trump that could come later this hour. Earlier, he commented on the economy as well as his anger at the United Nations over that anti-Israeli resolution. Will the president-elect weigh in more directly on Israel? We'll find out and take you there live as soon as we get more definitive word. In the meantime, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not mincing any words, declaring Israelis, quote, do not need to be lectured by President Obama and his cabinet. And now the war of words is growing a little more personal tonight. Netanyahu just posted this to Facebook, a photo of then-Senator Obama wearing a yarmulke and praying at the Western Wall when it helped him politically. The Netanyahu post reading, quote, 2008, presidential candidate Barack Obama at the Western Wall. 2016, UN calls the Western Wall occupied Palestinian territory. Seriously? The post concludes. That post came just after searing remarks from the Prime Minister, blasting a long speech today by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry.
Now I must express my deep disappointment with the speech today of John Kerry. A speech that was almost as unbalanced as the anti-Israel resolution passed at the UN last week. Palestinian rejection of Israel and support for terror are what the nations of the world should focus on if they truly want to advance peace. And I can only express my regret and say that it's a shame that Secretary Kerry does not see this simple truth.
Nations was about preserving the two-state solution. That's what we were standing up for. Israel's future is a Jewish and democratic state, living side by side in peace and security with its neighbors. There are a similar number of Jews and Palestinians living between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. They have a choice. They can choose to live together in one state, or they can separate into two states. But here is a fundamental reality. If the choice is one state, Israel can either be Jewish or democratic. It cannot be both. And it won't ever really be at peace.
Here now live, a key newsmaker, Ambassador Danon, Israel's diplomat at the United Nations. Welcome. We appreciate you coming in during such a busy time. I want to start with that very specific claim by Secretary Kerry. He said if the choice is just one state, Israel can either be Jewish or democratic, not both. What does that mean to you?
It's not true. It's not correct. Israel is a Jewish democracy. Today we have more than 1.7 Arab Israelis who are not Jewish, who live in a very strong democracy. So we do not accept that. What we saw now, it was a failed attempt to defend the indefensible. You cannot protect the decision that was made by the administration last Friday when the U.S. actually allowed a one-sided resolution to pass at the UN. So for more than an hour, Secretary Kerry tried to justify what happened at the UN Security Council. I was there in that room. That was a shameful moment because the U.S. is the closest ally of Israel. We work together. We share the same values. And to see the U.S. voting with Venezuela and other countries that they're all against Israel, it was very disappointing.
Well, they didn't vote with them. They abstained. But by extension,
by abstain, actually, what you said is correct. Because usually the U.S. stand with Israel and applying the veto power. It happened in 2011. It happened in 2014. Without the veto, the U.S. blocked the resolution. And now, when the U.S. abstained, all the rest voted to support the resolution, and it passed. And when you read the resolution, it's so one-sided, saying that we have no legitimate right to the Wailing Wall, to the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem.
Yes.
This is insulting.
Are you planning for the possibility of President Obama potentially pushing more anti-Israeli UN resolutions before he leaves office in 3 weeks?
We hope it will not happen, but after last Friday, who knows? Because at the Security Council, people were used to the fact that the U.S. is standing with Israel. Now there's a new environment at the Security Council. Maybe some of the countries will come with new resolutions against Israel, and we don't know what will happen.
Okay, we've talked about the Obama side. Let's talk about the Israeli government. Can you say unequivocally tonight that Prime Minister Netanyahu is still in favor of a two-state solution?
He said it himself. He's willing to negotiate.
But does he mean it? Is it real?
When Prime Minister Netanyahu says something, he means it. And he said that he's willing to negotiate everything with President Abbas. He's willing to go to Ramallah, to come to New York, to negotiate. But after the resolution passed at the Security Council, the Palestinians have no reason to come back to the negotiating table, because for them it's much easier to get whatever they want in the Security Council without negotiating, without condemning terrorism, without stopping the violence. It will be very hard to move forward, and we welcome President-elect Trump's words that he is committed to Israel, and he will continue to work to support Israel.
You mentioned President-elect Trump. You have put out a statement saying that you appreciate his unequivocal support. You've said that in recent days. You say it again now. In the Republican platform this summer in Cleveland, then-candidate Trump and his aides pulled out language supporting a two-state solution. Since you say you're for a two-state solution, would you condemn that action by Donald Trump?
First of all, it's a bipartisan issue. 88 senators asked the president to apply the veto power before the vote on Friday, and he ignored it. So it's not Democratic or Republican.
Well, but hold on one second. He's going to be the president of the United States, and in the Republican Party platform, it no longer says that they want a two-state solution. That's counter to what you just said.
Prime Minister Netanyahu will come to meet President-elect Trump. They will discuss all the issues, the Iran agreement, the peace process. They will speak about everything, but it's not so simple. When Secretary Kerry speaks for more than an hour about the settlements, what about the Hamas? What about radical Islam? What about terrorism in the Middle East? You saw that he focused only the issue of the settlement. The settlement are not the real obstacle to peace.
I hear this criticism of President Obama that the Obama doctrine has become basically be tougher on your friends like Israel than enemies like Iran and Assad in Syria. Do you agree with that criticism?
Well, many ambassadors approach me and ask me what happened. What happened to the relationship between Israel and the U.S.? And we know that the timing is crucial because it is a transition period, and within a few weeks there will be a new administration in the White House. But the relationship between Israel and the U.S. will continue to be strong. It's based on shared values, and I'm optimistic about it.
What about how personal this has gotten? I mentioned that Facebook post from the Prime Minister a couple of moments ago, where he's showing Barack Obama as a candidate at the Western Wall and sticking it to him. Let's put it bluntly, and saying that when he basically needed that politically to say he's praying at the Western Wall, it's just the opposite of what happened Friday. It seems like this has gone much further this time, and this has gotten personal.
We are disappointed. We did not expect it from our closest ally. I'm used to read those kind of resolutions coming from Venezuela, Yemen, Syria. You know, for them to bash Israel is the national sport. But when the U.S. teamed with those countries, and the U.S. was a major player behind this resolution, we were very offended about it.
So, Mr. Ambassador, you're intimately involved in all of this. Give our viewers some hope about the future then. We know your criticism of what's happened today and what happened last Friday. What is the way forward for peace?
Well, we hope that the new administration will make sure that you achieve peace through direct negotiations. We did it in the past, Ed. We negotiated with Egypt, with Jordan. It was hard, but we achieved a real peace. And they will tell the Palestinians and to the rest of the world, you cannot impose peace treaty on Israel by passing resolution of the Security Council. You should call both sides to engage and to have real negotiations.
When you look at President-elect Trump nominating a hardline ambassador to Israel, and Prime Minister Netanyahu appearing to dig in with his comments today, last question, how can you get peace when it looks like the hardliners are digging in their heels even
When
deeper?
Prime Minister Menachem Begin was elected in 1977, he was considered to be a hardliner. And people say, what will happen in Israel tomorrow? And look what happened. He was the first leader to achieve peace. But you need a partner. We found Sadat in Egypt as a real partner. Today, we don't have a viable partner among the Palestinians. That's why they keep coming to the UN instead of coming to talk with us.
Ambassador Danon, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
President Obama